Hello Virgos, and welcome back to Deku Tarot. Welcome to your mid-October 2020 reading. We're going to be using my Hieronymus Bosch deck. I tend to use this more with you guys than anybody else. And I just want to say thank you guys for being patient. Thank you for being understanding that the readings are a little bit late. I had plans to get them out all in that first week, and then I had an allergic reaction to a skincare product, and I was not able to shoot any of the videos because I didn't have an overhead setup, and I didn't think that anyone would probably want to see my face like this. So I'm getting better, and it's healing up, but we're going to finish out the October readings with this really cool overhead setup. And thank you guys so much for all of your support. Again, if you haven't, do make sure to subscribe. Here we are in October, and I'm actually shooting this on the Libra new moon. So there's a real energy of new beginnings, of clearing out the old, and a lot of resurfacing situations that are kind of traumatic for a lot of us, that bring up a lot of pain. We can talk about, we can blame that kind of more on that Mercury retrograding in Scorpio, which is really quite an assassin. And yeah, I have to say, guys, as soon as I step into your energy, honestly, I've been dreading doing your reading, because every time I step into your energy, I get so anxious. I mean, look at me. I feel like, and I really haven't had like any caffeine this morning, and I'm shaking. Your energy is really filled with so much anxiety. And it's just, it's exhausting. Honestly, like I'm trying to be lighthearted about it, but it's really quite difficult. And there, as we get to that, again, that new moon today, we could be really focusing here in mid-October. It feels like on those things coming up. Situations where we must see the truth. Situations where we must take responsibility for our actions. For better or for worse, each thing must meet its destiny, must meet its truth. And I feel like this card comes up for you a lot. The 8 and the 9 of coins come up for you guys a lot. And it feels like a very heavy energy. So let me just shuffle these up and allow the messages to come through. There's a lot of growth that I think that we can gain from all of this. And I know it feels really rough right now. I can feel it. My God, you guys have a lot of just very intense energy. And what you have to remember here is whatever has disappointed you so deeply, because something here obviously has fallen apart. And maybe that's why we're so anxious. We're watching something in real time that we love kind of crumble. And we start to get nervous because the routines that we've been so used to, the things that we thought were very orderly, comfortable for us, are now becoming very suffocating. And maybe that has nothing to do with the real root of the problem, but it definitely isn't helping. What you have to remember is that for each harbor you leave, there is another one to return to. For that which disappoints you, which becomes a failure in your eyes, which you're lamenting over very clearly, feeling very anxious, very upset, very frustrated with, you have to look at the brighter side. For every ending, there's a new beginning. And there is still always 2 cups upright with the 5 of Cups. And honestly, this one doesn't feel very negative, does it? It's a lot, it's quite a load to bear if you're willing to carry all of this sadness, this disappointment with you. But if you look at the bright side, about what you can get from this, there's a real sense of empowerment and growth. Very Sagittarian energy that it feels like we can step into. And sometimes, again, we take on more than we can bear in terms of our responsibilities. You and Libra are kind of, you guys kind of get that a lot in your readings, honestly. I noticed that. Taking on too much, especially work-wise, money-wise. And we become so centered on that we forget to do the other things that we enjoy, to allow our dreams to take root and to work on them. Well, I feel I must do this because it's responsible. I feel I have to do this because it's the right thing to do. Well, you have one life to live. Are you going to live it in service to everyone but yourself? It's very interesting. And to get the Fool, which is, you know, really interesting in this deck. You know, it's he who ventures into unknown lands, whether he be mad or wise. A question is the first step towards the answer. And we're very unaware at this moment. And I do want to say this kind of energy came up for me. Be careful when something, you're having a really hard time letting go, it feels to me, of something that has held quite that you've held quite a vested interest or heart in, or love. Again, Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio now, so forgive me if I sound like Yoda or I'm speaking like an idiot, but you know, it affects my ability to speak very much if you've been with me for a while, so just bear with me. Because sometimes it's like it gets more difficult, I feel like, to channel the messages and the channeled, you know, information that comes through in the readings into English language that makes sense sometimes, but especially so in during Mercury retrogrades for me. I see that with other readers as well. But anyways, this real sense of being on the offense. And again, remember that Mars is retrograde in its domicile Aries here. And it's very grating on our energy because we're exhausted and we don't have the energy necessary to throw at everything that we need to. And I've noticed that in my life because I do have my Mars in Aries, so I've been feeling it very, very much so these past few months. And we're at a real kicker point of it right now, and especially so towards the end of October here. And it really puts us to the test in terms of, it's almost like a hero story. I heard somebody kind of explain this in this way, and I thought it was very interesting. It's kind of like a hero story. You get to that point where, you know, in the hero story, that pinnacle point where it's like, how do I go on from here? How can I save this? You know, it's that moment of like make or break. And then somehow they're able to, you know, when all seems lost, they're able to push through. They're able to do this. They're able to really become the hero, to win, to fight off the bad guy, whatever it is, and come out on top. And we're at that point where all hope seems lost in terms of something. So how will you get out of this? And honestly, what comes up for me with you guys is needing to, instead of being on the offense and defending something so viciously that you're very quickly being shown the light on, you know, it's not as good as it always looked. It's not what it appeared to be. And you've been touting like all this excitement and pride in something that really you're starting to realize is not what you thought it was at all. And it's starting to seem like, again, much like in Scorpio's reading, something has really lost its glimmer, has lost its shine. And it seems to me like it was fool's gold all along. So don't get on the offense to the point of really driving your relationships, especially in a negative way. Because you see that Ten of Swords there, and it's upright, and that's really quite a painful ending. So again, I want to say whatever it is that you're whatever is kind of falling apart, and I know that we've brought this up many times here, whatever it is that's falling apart, don't fight for it right now. Don't be in defense of it. Look at it for what it is, in the light of the just. Because again, whatever is real about this is coming out, whether you like it or not, and you can't really hide from it. You can't flip this one. We can't pretend like it's something we can just keep on our schedule, you know, keep on our regular schedule about. It's not the same. We have to make time to deal with this. We have to shift, and we have to be willing to, instead of digging our heels in and be, you know, getting on the offense and getting our ego all wrapped up in it, which is something I definitely feel here. it's like what you're preaching to everybody is more important to you than what you actually know. And you have to be very wary of that. Ooh, she comes out again. Because I pulled a few cards before. I always like to pull some cards to see where your at energy was before I started the reading. And she was one of them. That was one of them too. And so was that. So. And with that Queen of Cups, that really beautiful energy there after that Ten of Swords. I mean, the Ten of Swords is a really tough energy here. You know, it asks you to face the battle here, and that to do so, you're going to need to gain more information, to learn more before you jump at it. So again, don't start fighting, don't start defending when maybe what's coming up here is that you don't know the whole situation and you don't know everything that's going on. And to be more empathetic and understanding and open and really receiving to information that can come through here, especially from people who are very wise, from people who are maybe older than you, are telling you something that you might really need to listen to. Or it could even just be your higher self, but whatever it is, it feels like there's some people here who have some very intense, want to have very intense conversations about you, about your attachments to something, whatever this thing is, again, that's losing its shine or has lost its shine, but you're not really addressing. But anyways, again, that feels like an intense relationship for some of you guys. Let's keep pulling. I'm trying to decide where to go from here. With this energy, it's very, again, you're very hesitant. And again, not very, it doesn't feel very open right now. It's tough, I understand. But we can't be in dreamland about something that we almost know instinctively is coming through. Not almost instinctively, you can feel it. It's just whether you want to recognize it or not. And the Ten of Swords is there to, in a very real way, put an end to something, to put an end to this, to show you once and for all what it is. But you're still almost like in this state of disillusionment of, you know, no, it can't be. And, you know, sometimes, again, during a Mercury retrograde, these are things that have come up before, is what I always get. These are things that have come up before. These are things that have happened before, especially with Mercury retrograding in Scorpio. It's literally dredging, and I brought this, I'm going to probably bring this up in all my October readings, but it's the dredging of the lake, and when all the bodies come up, and all the evidence, and all this crazy stuff that you didn't know was down there. And you see that some of these things are still an issue, and they're coming up now because karmically they got to be dealt with when it's Scorpio. And Scorpio is like, again, that assassin. It comes out of nowhere and it stabs you in the throat and it says, now we got to deal with this. Okay, like, here I am, like, I broke into your house and you didn't notice, and now here we are because, you know, you didn't fix your lock system, so I'm going to deal with it now. And we're going to deal with it in a very intense and very upfront way. So to try to put a mask on or to try to turn away from it at this point, it's not going to go very well. And that's just something I want to warn you about. What we can do is learn and grow and take the information and where this is all going and make some steps and take some steps really to address it, to do what is right, to ask for help if we need it, to not be afraid of something ending. And this card definitely came up before too, really weird, especially because it came up reversed. And it could feel like a major loss for you, leaving a company, leaving a relationship, leaving an ideology behind, and realizing that it didn't hold any water or love to begin with. It's very difficult, but you have to wipe the veneer off. Very much like in Scorpio's reading, weirdly. It's very weird. There's that same sense of the veil lifting because things are coming up that we just can't ignore anymore. The changes are here, and it's like kind of a moment of reckoning of like, what are you going to do with this now? Now that it's gotten this far, now that we're here, what are you going to do? Well, we can start heading off in a new direction. Again, asking for help, planting new seeds, working together, asking for help. So Three of Pentacles is very much about building. I always feel that it's, you know, building something in mind, body, and soul here, an equal mind, body, and soul. It's time to build a new foundation. Because when that Ten of Cups is reversed, you know, something has not been able to hold together. A sense, you know, something that you, again, love very much. And the confusion kind of melts away. All the, you know, smoke and mirrors are gone now. And we're just left with what's right there. You know, we have, if you haven't been checking out what's going on astrologically, I would recommend that you do, because it's a hard hitter right now. And it will be for the rest of the year, but at least as this falls away, again, you have these cards here that show, again, a lack of confusion, a lack of emotional imbalance, really, with the Seven of Cups. Like, where do I take my feelings? How do I feel about this? How do I feel about that? Like, I don't really know, so I kind of have to still explore it and see what each cup holds, you know? And what we have to realize is that what feels almost impossible in this moment here becomes real. Or at least it appears to be. This is an emotional upheaval type of month for you, and I think that's why I felt so much energy of anxiety starting this reading. It felt so intense, but know that it filters out, I mean, through emotions, through maybe some big talks and a lot of crying and a lot of emotional release, but it's refreshing, and it allows you to close something that was very devastating and toxic, especially to your mind to begin with. Your mentality, to how you communicate. This is the time when we have to put ourselves in this position and realize that we can't just jump forward to the next thing, not with all this happening. Not with all this to be dealt with. There's no rushing with Mars retrograding in Aries and Mercury retrograding in Scorpio. No, we're going to take the time to deal with it. We got to look at it. This is a very as above, so below kind of card. I really, really love the Hangman in this deck. It's such an intense one. He ain't going anywhere, right? He doesn't look like he really can. Again, things are hidden behind other things. One must look both above and below to liberate oneself. This is a very onion layered month here, and it might feel a lot like suffering. But know that everyone is kind of in the same boat here. I think Leo's had the most positive reading so far, but it's a tough one. And I know that it's not what we want to go through, but is 2020 what anyone wanted to go through? There's a lot of deeply felt shifting and truth that is, it hurts, yes, but I mean, oh god, this card is always a lot to see, right? Three of Wands is usually a very positive card. I don't see it as a negative card. This deck always just kind of throws things into question, right? But Three of Wands is a building block as well as that Three of Pentacles. And I do think that it also says with all these threes, I always again see that as building in mind, body, and soul, as moving in a new direction in mind, body, and soul. We're turning away from something, or we're going to be forced to do so this month. And I want to say, don't be stubborn about it, Earth signs. We tend to be a little bit more stubborn. So we put effort, energy, a lot into something. It's become a part of who we are. But we have to let it go. We have to change, because, I mean, look at this doubled success. I love that. Weird strawberry outfit, right? But Six of Wands is success. It always is. It's my winner card. It's things moving forward in a positive direction. You will, as soon as you start, you know, pushing that way forward, learning, doing the necessary work to build that new foundation, to rid yourself of this really just weighty energy that causes this. I mean, this is just like a foolish explosion on your part. And I would, again, watch out for that. What you feel like you are teaching people, what you feel like you are impacting people with, is going to come back and bite you in the ass if you're not willing to see or willing to really recognize what's been knocking on your door in terms of the truth about all of this. Could really end up with your foot in your mouth, and that's a very light way of putting it with the Ten of Swords there, right? That's like somebody being like, and you're wrong, and these are all the actual factual reasons why, and now this it's a very intense card to get. It's a very intense situation, but there is growth here. So yeah, there might be a real shock and awe moment, to say the least. But that Six of Wands is very successful. And know that, again, this is all leading in a much better direction. It's just a tough time, man. You know, you can still learn. You can still move towards happiness and peace with all this. You can learn to laugh at your mistakes. You can learn to laugh at the situation in time. But going through this is what you need. And fighting is something that you just don't need to do. You've got to. It's an interesting card. It's a really weird card. Let me just look at this for a second. I haven't used this deck in a while. Wow. It feels like, instead of being, again, stuck in a rut, like he's like got his 5 wands, he's doing his bathing. It feels very repetitive, very Virgo, which is interesting because it is the 5 of Wands. But successfully learning and continuing to do so, and successfully asking for help, and, you know, again, doing all this work. Don't go back to the old way of doing things. Don't go back to your old routines is a big message that I get. It's building new successful routines for who you want to be rather than who you are, for your growth. Yeah. And again, Queen of Wands. Beautiful. There's a lot of knowledge that you can gain this month if you're willing and open to it. And you're willing to just take the L a little bit in some ways about this, whatever the situation is that you really want to hold on to. You know, you are the pupil this month. To learn without understanding really brings no benefit. And I do feel that relationships are very intense in a good way this month if you're willing, again, to be open-hearted, to learn and understand. Again, learning without understanding. I'll just say that one again. I just feel that this is such a nice energy, or a nice last message that I'm getting here. To learn without understanding brings no benefit. Let's pull an oracle. And if this is very much about relationships and how we approach them, if we're very single and frustrated about it, has us really looking at why, what our responsibility is in that equation. And that can also be hard for us if that's really what this is all about for some of you. Just something I'm getting. But let's pull a Halloween Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. Ooh, Ghost. And Owl both came out. So we're going to take them both. Intense reading, guys. Intense energies. I feel like October always hits in such a way. All right, regret. Should the ghost come gliding into your life during divination, it may indicate that you have some regrets to let go of. Holding grudges or regrets is burdensome work, and it weighs us down eventually. By taking actions to free ourselves of these old burdens, we clear the way for more rightful and wise action for the future. We can begin to live again fully if we let go of what was and step into new possibilities. Let me get the owl. Should I have to find, but wise seeing, wise action. I mean, this is just these are such perfect sum up messages for you guys. I'm not shocked that they're here, let's be honest. Let's see. So, should the hooting owl come looking for you this Halloween, it indicates the need for wise counsel or further information before you make a decision. Considered action is warranted. Think before you act emotionally and ensure you think strategically, not impulsively. I mean, these cards sum it up this month. I'm just going to leave it right there. If you guys want to book a private reading, I am doing a Samhain Special on the 30-minute readings as well as the 1-hour readings. So check that out. All the information on booking any type of reading with me is in the description box below. And do check out Truly Divine if you are looking to get an astrology, a birth chart analysis, compatibility analysis, numerology analysis. They just do an amazing job. You can use my code DEKU30 for 30% off, and that's also in the description box below. And I love you guys so much. We're going to get through this month. We're going to get through 2020. It's a rough one. I feel like we've all hit moments like this. I love you guys so much. Namaste.